My name is Jonathan Gillum.
And this is The Experts.
This is Jonathan Gillum, and this is the early edition of The Experts on almost said Sirius, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And tonight it's going to be a quick show because I don't have a lot of time before I have to be at Sirius XM Patriot Channel 125 to go down there and host Patriot tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off with a little bit. I'm actually going to steal some sound bites from Sean Hannity's show today, and he has an incredible sound bite of all these Democrats and some of these rhinos bashing the president. I just couldn't let that go. I have to make some comments on that, and then I want to give some props to General Mattis. Listen, I've been holding him to the standard, which I think we should do for our leaders, and by and large, he has come through on that. So we're going to discuss this stuff quickly, and then if you have Sirius, if you have the app, if you don't have it, you should get it, and then I'll see you in a little bit on Sirius. So let's get started. Don't you hate it when you're hosting a show and your TV comes off pause? All right, I'm back on. Okay. I said, don't you hate it when you are hosting a show and your TV comes off pause? Okay, so let's start with this sound bite here. And the numbers are okay for tonight. I don't think people are used to me being on so early. One thing I do want to cover real quick, though, is I got a lovely suggestion from somebody today that said, and I've had this suggestion before, but the way this individual put it, with this countdown that I do at the beginning that lets people get the notification that I'm on, it's 2 minutes. I've watched how long it takes for people to actually join the show. See, we're still having people join right now, and that's why the lead-in is 2 minutes. And they said, you know, you should probably just reduce that where you just start the show and don't do the lead-in because they have seen the lead-in and they just skipped on by and kept going. And the reason I do that is because it takes about 2 minutes for people to get notified, or at least to start getting notified, and that way they don't miss part of the show because your participation is tremendous. It's what this show is built upon. So, wow, and we have the same amount of people on Twitter and on Facebook. Let's see what we got on YouTube real quick. Not many. 4. I don't get Facebook at all. But anyway. So, I'm sorry, YouTube. I don't get YouTube. I get Facebook. I don't get YouTube. So, that's why I start the show. I do that lead in, and it gives people time to join and do whatever they're going to do. So, I don't know. If you think it would be better to get rid of it, let me know. I've had people say keep it. I've had people say get rid of it. I don't know, maybe we'll try it without it, but I really don't think we're losing many people that way. But your comments, let me know what you think. You can direct message me or say it in here, and I'll go back through the comments and read it. All right, so why don't we do this? Let's start real quick. Again, this is going to be a fast-moving show. It's been a big day. I hosted on Newsmax today, which was great. I think I get to host again next week for the Todd Schnitt, the Schnitt Show, which, let me tell you, with a Southern accent, a little difficult. It could be interpreted as saying something else. Welcome to the Schnitt Show. So it went great. We had some great guests, and actually a lot of those guests are going to be back on with me tonight on Sirius. Jason Meister, Michael Jack, who we all know from this show, and Jason Meister, and John Guandolo, and then I'm forgetting the last guest's name. I'll think of it here in a minute. I'll think of it here in a minute. So he'll be with. He's with ICE, or was a former agent with ICE. He'll be with us as well. Michael Cutler. I can't believe I forgot Michael's name. So Michael Cutler will be on as well. So it'll be a good show. That's on Sirius XM Patriot Channel 125. So those guys were, a lot of those gentlemen were with me today as I hosted on Sirius, on Newsmax. Then I was on Sean Hannity's radio show talking to, a little bit about what we're going to cover here. And then I'm doing this show, and then I'll be down at Sirius. So it's a busy day today, but that's good. That's what we need, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to play this, and I'll stop it throughout. And I just want you to hear some of these sound bites. Again, these sound bites were put together by Hannity's production crew on his radio program, but it's unbelievable what these Democrats and rhinos like John McCain. Let's just call them all globals, because that's the reality of what they are. So let's listen to some of this. Oh, hold on.
Leading lawmakers of both parties. Democrat Dianne Feinstein calling his rhetoric bombastic and saying diplomacy is the only path. Republican John McCain cautioning Trump against making empty threats.
Is this the president giving Kim Jong-un a taste of his own medicine, maybe his own vocabulary? Or is it going to make a bad situation worse? Is it dangerous? I mean, do the words matter in this context?
Let's not dismiss the words so quickly. We all remember shock and awe in Iraq. Fire and fury. As a military guy, Jack, what do you read into fire and fury? Is this conventional weaponry, or is he threatening something else?
He has now drawn a far more stark, a far more inflammatory, a far more dangerous red line. It contradicts all of the traditions of American military history.
That blistering rhetoric is a real break from past presidents, and it is being met with concern from Republican and Democratic lawmakers, as a new poll shows that 6 out of 10 Americans are uneasy about President Trump's ability to handle North Korea.
6 out of 10 Americans? Where exactly is that poll coming from? Because it's probably come from the same place that they're saying all the stuff about immigration. Hello, buddy. And the reality is, I think Americans are confused by and large how North Korea got to be such an issue and was never taken care of. I think that's the reality. What most Americans feel, I think you would agree with me, is that for over 50 years, we could have handled North Korea. Bill Clinton, I don't have the soundbite for him, although they may play it in here. Bill Clinton rallied for them just exactly like Barack Obama did with Iran, to get them the ability to have nuclear reactors so they could have nuclear power all through North Korea. That was Bill Clinton's deal. And then Bill Clinton said he's not worried about, this is Bill Clinton when he was president, said that he was not worried about North Korea getting nuclear weapons because that would be the end of their country. That was Bill Clinton's words. So I think that is what the majority of people are worried about. Of course, there's going to be at least probably half of this country that don't agree with anything President Trump says when it comes to dealing with North Korea or anybody else. Not my problem, because the majority of those people have never been in military, which is the same thing. Besides John McCain, I don't think one of the people that talk in this soundbite were ever in the military. Think about that. And they're giving us their 2 cents on what's right and what's wrong. When a lot of these people have been in government for 30 years, and majority of the problems that we have is because they have never been as forceful as they should have been in sticking and standing together to defeat these enemies before they even grow. They should want the president to defeat these people. They should want the Secretary of Defense and the DOD to be tough enough to say, we're not going to take this. But that's the Dianne Feinstein's words. What she says, absolutely the most ridiculous. Let's play this.
This morning, some political leaders, even from the president's own party, concerned that the commander-in-chief's fiery warnings could further incite the already volatile North Korean leader.
Okay, first of all, they're going to talk to John McCain, okay? So when they say from the president's own party, they're not talking about you and I. They're talking about somebody who is basically a globalist, has some weird ties with the Muslim Brotherhood, was over meeting a long time ago with people from ISIS. I mean, John McCain is a weirdo that I hope the clock that is counting down to when he leaves Washington, D.C. is moving faster than ever so we can get him out of here. And also, the way these reporters talk, okay, they're not journalists. Remember that. These people are entertainers. They like to make things sound very salacious and, oh my gosh, and it's so ridiculous the way they do not report the news. They just simply spin things up and then ignore other things, which we've had some crazy things like a Trump hater killing a GOP councilman. We had Democratic, I don't know what this guy was, but he was a high-level Democrat from the DNC, was caught with child porn. You're not hearing any of this stuff. None of it on mainstream media at all.
Having the president of the United States throw more fuel on this fire may make China think twice about how far down the road it wants to go in supporting U.S. actions on North Korea.
Some Republicans and Democrats say the president's strong words are not helping the situation.
Some Democrats took pause. Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland said Trump's comments once again show that he lacks the temperament. And Senator Dianne Feinstein said Trump was bombastic and is not helping the situation.
What is going to happen, and does the language of the president help or hinder?
It just doesn't help when our allies and the countries in the region can't tell whether it's Donald Trump or Kim Jong-un who's the crazier one.
I mean, listen, folks. You may not agree with the president. You may not agree with his language that he uses and these things like that. I don't remember ever in my lifetime, I'm 47 years old, I don't remember this type of nonsense where Washington, D.C. and the people that have been elected to go up there and function as the managers of this country, I don't want to use the word leaders because they're not leaders, the managers of this country absolutely are putting this country in a worse position, national security-wise, economic-wise, everything else-wise as well. But in this case, with having to do with national security, by saying ridiculously ignorant stuff like that, which the enemy can and will use to their benefit. Listen, this is a serious thing. And there's been times in the past, especially with ISIS, where these idiots in D.C., and yes, they're idiots, say this type of stuff, and then the enemy turns around and uses it to back up why their reasoning for doing further attacks. These people should be fired from their job. I don't want to change the Constitution. I wish we could actually get rid of some of these amendments that we have in there. But if there's anything that I would amend, it would be that there's term limits and that these politicians can be fired if they don't do their job properly. And this, to me, is a fireable offense. When you're going in the media, their job is not to go in the media. Their job is not to be mouthpieces to degrade the ideas of the person that was elected to be the administrator or the CEO of this country. Their job is not to demean him. Their job is to stand with him and figure out the best way possible to defend this country. This is a fireable offense. In my terms, this is borderline treasonous behavior by these people in Washington. Yeah, I'm using the treason word because what they're doing is they're basically aiding and abetting the enemy, a foreign enemy, when they do this. Let's listen to some more.
I don't know how you find common ground with someone you absolutely do not trust. I don't think I can work with him. As a matter of fact, I'm so worried about what his connections are with Putin and the Kremlin and those oligarchs.
So we got all this stuff going on with North Korea. We still have the problem with fundamental Islam. We're involved in wars all over the Middle East. The inner city is just as dangerous as the Middle East. Poverty, black-on-black crime, racism, reverse racism, fake activism that where there's really no problem in the country, but they continue to make it a problem. This whole thing about transgender in a military that's not ready to fight, those problems exist. And this weirdo is concerned about Putin, as she calls him, and the Russian connection. They're still worried about the Russian connection when every ounce of evidence that we have shows that there was no Russian collusion with the Trumps, that there was that Russians didn't do anything that the rest of the countries don't do to each other when they have their election process. And this Maxine Waters person is a fool. And whoever elects her, you are just as responsible for any nonsense that she brings down, and you should be ashamed of yourself, because obviously you're making uneducated decisions on who you're putting into office. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it affecting the rest of us. I'm getting very tired of having to deal with these people that, you know, like the case with Charlie Rangel up in New York City. He used to get elected every year, and I looked up some of the numbers. It was like 18,000 people voted for this guy in an area where there's like 1 million people that live up there and around Harlem, and about 18,000 people would go out and vote for him, and so he'd get reelected. Then he would go and make all these issues in Congress or Senate, I don't remember which one he was, worthless either way, and because of 18,000 people voting for the guy in a country where we have 350 million, and we got to deal with that nonsense.
In Russia. I'm so worried about Tillerson and whether or not Tillerson is there mainly to help get these sanctions lifted so that Trump and all of his allies and friends who are all around him involved in oil and gas and wanting these sanctions lifted. I'm so concerned that that's their main goal, and this is what they want to do to continue to enrich themselves.
This is coming from an idiot who has totally enriched herself with real estate and good deals and good buddy deals. This person is a criminal. Maxine Waters is a criminal. And she's an actress, not a good one, but she's an actress portraying all this stuff. She does. This person is so out of touch. She's not even talking and associating any of the problems with reality that's going on in this country. She's not concerned about the inner city and the degradation of the law enforcement and the public's relationship. She's not worried about any of that stuff. She's worried about Putin. Weirdo.
And so I don't trust him. I'm not going to be able to work with him. I believe that North Korea is interesting threats to the United States, but I think there are some things that they want from us, and we have to find out whether or not we can work with them on the things that they're asking for.
I don't remember North Korea asking for anything. I remember them demanding a whole lot and telling everybody in the world that they're going to nuke us. Freaking women.
And so this is something that we should be very concerned about, but this is not the time to go bluffing and threatening. This is a time for diplomacy.
Okay, so I don't think anybody's bluffing, Maxine Waters. I don't think Trump's bluffing.
All right, so what you have.
All right, so that was it. So for some reason we missed Dianne Feinstein's comments there where she was talking about how his rhetoric was bombastic and blah blah blah, all this stuff. The fact is, none of those people that you heard have ever, with the exception of John McCain when he was saying bomb 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 Iran, that he's the only person that served in the military. And I'm not going to go into his military service, but from that point forward, regardless, there's a lot of people that say his military service wasn't honorable. And not talking about modern day people, I'm talking about people that worked around the guy. I'm not going to go into that. I don't have firsthand proof of that, but I can tell you this. From that day forward, whenever he got into government, he's been a disaster. Plus, he gave us the offspring of his daughter, who, for some reason, seems to think that she knows everything on Fox News. Anyway, that really ticked me off when I heard that today, and it's absolute nonsense. So, let's see here. I want to read something real quick. Let me go to I'm not even going to go through blocks. We don't have time. I've got to get Rico for a walk before I go down to the to Sirius. And let me say something. Everybody thinks it's funny when I talk about my scooter, about driving this scooter around Manhattan. I'm able to get all over the place in Manhattan because of that scooter. And I am not kidding you, folks. I've had people ride up to me on bicycles and say, "Where did you get that?" I've had grown adults ask me where I got it. I've had people in vehicles yelling at me, asking me about the scooter because I'm passing them in rush hour traffic. So people can laugh all they want about it, but man, I'm telling you what, that thing gets me everywhere I need to be so fast and so effectively. I think it's the biggest. Yeah, I'll show you guys. I'll put a picture of myself when I get to Sirius on my scooter. I've shown pictures of that before, but it's fast. Thing goes like 20 miles an hour, which is enough to kill you if I ever fall, which I have had about 4 accidents on the thing so far. Lord bless me. Knock on some wood. So what I want to real quick before I go is I want to read this from General Mattis. Hold on there. Rico's whistling at me down there. So somebody was asking General Mattis, I don't know who it was that was asking him, about, are we ready? Is the country ready? Or is the military ready? Do they have military options from North Korea? And this was General Mattis's response. Do I have military options? Of course I do. Mattis told reporters en route to Seattle on board a military aircraft on August 10th. Okay, one thing I got to say again and again. I don't like the White House having the press corps. I don't like the press corps on military aircraft. The press does not need to be anywhere around the military or government. If they want to get the information, they should go hunt for it, because the government doesn't owe them anything, and they don't do anything for our transparency. Don't think that first of all, freedom of the press, I'll say this again, I always say it has nothing to do with the media. Freedom of press was meant to insinuate that you have freedom to disseminate, freedom of speech to say what you think about the government, and freedom to disseminate that information. But it has nothing to do with the business of the media, of journalism. That journalism is dead. This nonsense about the media flying around in military planes and being in the White House. Look, this isn't paparazzi, and the president and General Mattis and the rest of these congressmen and stuff, they're not celebrities as far as I'm concerned. And so we don't need them anymore. Look what I do every night. I'm broadcasting this right now to almost 200 people. If the White House did the same thing, very simple, they could do this and have the same type of chat room that's coming up here in Facebook or on Twitter, and take questions there and inform the people with with tremendous transparency, and cut out the middleman. They don't need the media anymore. They don't. People will tune in and look at this and watch this, and the sound bites will get put out there. I don't think that those people need to be anywhere in around it's no different, folks, than if I told somebody that, hey, this guy's a great babysitter. He's only been in jail for 5 years. It was just 5 years for they could never prove that he tried to rape a child. Okay, so he'd be a good babysitter. You would never let that person in your house unless you're crazy. Hold on a second here. I gotta freaking block this person. How does this person get on here? So the fact is, dang it. The fact is, I'm trying to block that person. I'm not even going to say what it's the same idiot that comes up here every now and then on this show. So the fact is, though, they should not be on these planes with them. They shouldn't be anywhere in there, because it's no different with this example that I was giving you. You wouldn't invite that person, a pedophile, in your house to babysit your kids. Why would you invite liars into the White House or onto military planes to, quote unquote, report for stuff that's going on? You wouldn't do that. So I think those people should be kicked out. They're nothing more than a private entity that's somehow gotten themselves in on all that stuff. Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to get rid of that person as soon as it pops up again. I just have to wait for it to pop up before I can block it. This just shows you how weird people are. In the extremes that they'll go to. All right, hold on. Hold on. Where are you, you wimp? Come on. Pop up there again so I can block you. I know as soon as I start to read. See, this is what's crazy. Somebody on Twitter can have a name like that, and they can, and I'm not going to say what the name is, has to do with pedophilia on here. The person's been on here before. I can't seem to block them for some reason. Let's see here. Okay, there you go. Blocked. I believe I blocked the right person. I hope I didn't get the wrong person. So that you can't get these. You can't scroll back when the show's going. You can't. Twitter doesn't focus on people like that, but yet Barry Morgenstein, a good friend of ours, was on Twitter and was saying stuff about the transgender issue that he didn't agree with. And somebody complained about it, and they blocked him. Now, Twitter took him down for a while. They'll do that because of an opinion. They won't even check it out. But when you try to block somebody, they're not even policing this nonsense. On Facebook, they allow videos of murders. They allow videos of all these children, underage people fighting, stuff like that. But yet, if you say the wrong thing about something that that their liberal leftist minds don't agree with, they're gonna kill your numbers on Facebook, or they're gonna consider you fake news. YouTube and Google, they're already shown that they've told to everybody they're going to start censoring people. Google is far. I'm going to stop using Google, and because I don't trust them. How can you trust these people? How can you trust these people that they're not watching every single thing that you do? I've never been afraid of the government knowing what I'm doing. What I'm afraid of is people like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all these Silicon Valley social justice warriors have an insight into what I'm doing, because those are the types of people that will spin it, and those are the types of people that will manipulate what you're doing. Okay, so anyway, getting back to General Mattis real quick. General Mattis said, do I have military options? Of course I do. That's my responsibility to have those. And we work very closely with allies to ensure that this is not a unilateral, either. This is a multinational military option that we have, and of course, there's a military solution. Now, that's what you want in a Secretary of Defense, not this nonsense that's coming from the liberal left and the rhinos on the right. I don't know which one makes me more angry, but they're all, as far as I'm concerned, borderline treasonous, because they're aiding and abetting an enemy when they say these things in official position when they say this. And secondly, it's malpractice of the job that they were hired for. We just need a way to fire these people, period. All right, I think that's all I'm going to do for tonight. I got to take Rico outside and then get on over to Sirius. Tomorrow, I'll host this show at 7 p.m. and then I'll be on Sirius again tomorrow night from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. And then tonight, I'll do the first part of my show. I don't really get to do a rant on that show, unfortunately, but I'll try to broadcast on Facebook Live part of the show. But if you have Sirius app or Sirius Radio, listen tonight. Call in 866-957-2874. I'm really hoping that guy, whoever that weirdo was that was saying he was a veteran last night, will call in so I can bust his ass on radio. I'd love to do that. I don't like when veterans, people say they're veterans and they're not, and I really don't like it when people say that they're veterans and then they have this totally leftist viewpoint and then try to make it justified by saying they're a veteran. I could give two craps if you're a veteran. If you're doing and undermining the President of the United States and you're undermining our freedom and our security by saying stupid stuff like this guy was saying last night, because I support war against fundamental Islam. He says that I'm trying to that I'm supporting genocide. Obviously, he doesn't realize that fundamental Islam declared war on us many, many years ago, and they, in fact, do want to rid the world of all their non-believers, which is genocide. So, bring it on, brother. Let's get to the truth zone. I'm going to get out of here. Right, Rico? As you can see, when I'm working, I'm on. I don't like not working. I like working. When I have a full schedule, I get in the grind and I'm going. I often think, almost all the time, that I really wish I would have gone enlisted in the SEAL teams before I became an officer. You know, when I was younger, my thought process was that you want to be at the top, and this is a problem with millennials, but I wasn't a millennial, but you want to be at the top, you shoot for the top. But here's the reality, folks. If you want to be the best, not just at the top, if you want to be the best, you have to take the steps to get to that point. No one that is great at what they do goes from here to there. They go here, 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 here. They sometimes fall way down here. They climb back up. They may fall again. They may fall again. But they keep climbing. And they get to the top. And they're the best at what they do. What you see in Washington, D.C., silver bullet. Silver bullet. Straight to the top. Anybody that's ever been in the military or in law enforcement or in business, it doesn't matter. Whatever you've done, the people that get those silver bullets, they never are effective leaders. Never do they understand the reality of what's going on in the area in which they manage. American people need to realize this. Young people need to realize this. Hardworking people need to realize this. The way that you defeat the silver bullet is by standing together. This nonsense, do you realize, folks, do you realize more people in this country have stood together in bad decisions than they have in good decisions? Simply because they've relegated themselves to being told what to believe, who to follow, who to vote for, and they don't take control. Not one single person in Washington, D.C. owns you. Not one of them. But there's little that you can do individually. What you can do collectively is stop this nonsense. Support the president. It's almost more important at this point, even if you don't necessarily agree with all the things that or the way that he does things. We are at a point in this world that things are so bad because of the sins of our fathers, and I say that loosely, I don't say the people are our fathers, but the sins of our politicians, that we are set up with so many different enemies that technically could destroy us. And I'm not a warmonger. I'm not somebody that's out here just to start some trouble. I don't get off on people dying. But what I do get off on is a good fight with an enemy that won't back down and continues to ask for it. We need to support this president. We need to support his rhetoric when he's talking about an enemy. You may not like when he tweets at somebody and says something, you know, another politician or a press member, but when he's talking to a leader of another country that's threatening to nuke us or our allies, you better stand with him, because the reality is, folks, this isn't a joke. And one other thing, it's time for us to stand against Washington, D.C. Don't let these silver bullets do any more harm. Stand together. I'll see you in a little bit on SiriusXM Patriot Channel 125. And I'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. on The Experts I'm Jonathan Gillum. That's Rico, and the truth has arrived.